Good morning, everybody. You are listening to the Cindy Cochran Show on the most beautiful day in Montgomery County. It is gorgeous here. And you in San Francisco and in Washington State, those people, I'm so sorry that you're not here because it is so pretty. But at least you can be here in audio. Okay, so you're this is as close as you're going to get. So I'm hoping that you'll have a great day, and you can make it that way if you want to. It's up to you. So by choosing to listen to us, you just got a great start. It's wonderful. I have a special guest with me this morning, and his name is Steve Yates. He is the minister at the Conroe Church of Christ, and I know he loves to be introduced that way so that you can put everybody at ease in the group. They all go, oh, no, we got to talk around a minister, so we got to be good. But it's okay because this is a family show, and so we don't have to be worried about anything, except for some callers I may have to keep them at bay.
Right.
So
that'd be fine with me.
It won't offend your ears or anything. Because I know as a minister you've never heard any of that stuff, right? Good morning, Steve.
How are you?
I'm doing fine. Are you okay?
I'm good. It is beautiful today.
It is.
I wish I could say it was like this in Conroe every day. But
yes, but it doesn't happen that way.
That would be violating commandment number 9
That's
that
right.
I was talking about just last night. Don't lie.
Don't lie.
It's beautiful today, and we'll take it.
I'm glad that y'all were talking about that because I was in there teaching the young children how to sign a Silent Night for the Christmas play.
Oh, yeah.
And what a challenge. What a challenge to teach the 6-year-old and 7-year-olds how to hold your hands right at the right time and when to move them. And what's bad is you're facing them, and so they're trying to emulate you, and they need to be doing it just the opposite. And try to explain that concept to them. Okay, we're going to sign. Now do it the opposite way. So, I'm sorry I missed your class.
Well, we had fun last night because I had Tom McLeod with me dialoguing about it. Mm-hmm. And he keeps me on my toes, I promise you. He always...
Does that mean about lying or what?
We were talking about lying.
Okay.
And one of the most interesting things he said, at least to me, was that in order not to lie, you have to practice. Because our default mode is to lie.
Sure, the easiest way out.
And so, like with any, he compared it to if you want to play tennis or if you want to learn a foreign language. The way you do it is you stay at it every day. You practice telling the truth.
Well, I feel like it's the alcoholics, their mantra as well, because every day they have to fight it. Every day. And I just go like, you're right, because it's so much easier. And when you say something, it just flows off the tongue, and you turn around and go like, that wasn't true.
And the truth is so powerful in the sense that, and of course, we've been talking about. I've been doing this series on the 10 Commandments, which I've called it God's top 10 list.
Yes, oh boy, and can some of those step on your feet? Yeah.
And when we get to the last 5 commandments, they're all about community, developing community, and how can you have community, people loving each other, getting along, if you can't trust each other to tell the truth.
Right. So that's so true. And Samuel and I had a conversation about it because he, when your grandma presses you, keeps pressing you, and if you've been taught right, you'll finally fold. That's what I feel. And so Samuel will say something about the smallest, it's nothing. It's a nothing kind of, and I'm not saying anything about it, but he'll just say, I only ate one. Or, no, I haven't eaten any of them. And I go, Samuel, I can take that away from you right now and count how many it says on the package and how many are in there now. I can do that. And he goes, okay, maybe 3 or 4. And I said, well, then why don't you tell me the truth? Why don't you just say the truth? And he goes, well, because I'm telling you what I think you want to hear. And it'll make you happy. It'll make me happy. It'll make everybody happy.
Which is, unfortunately, the way we learn to do that. And it doesn't take very long to learn that.
No. You're not many years old whenever... especially your mom's going to come over and she's going to slap you if you have this in your hand, and if you don't have it in your hand, so you hide it so you don't get slapped. Doesn't mean that you minded your mom.
Yeah, the rule in my house when we were growing up about lying was you would get in trouble for lying, but if you would go ahead and tell the truth, you were in less trouble.
Right. You got a
tell
lesser
the truth
sentence.
about what you did wrong.
Right.
So it was like you got in trouble for doing something wrong, but if you lied about it, it was like World War III.
That's right.
Just broke out.
That's right. That's
so
right.
You learned after a while it wasn't worth it to conceal the truth.
And that, and you were trying to get them to wear it as a badge of honor that I am telling the truth now. And I have now protected myself from any beatings now because I've told the truth. Now, you told me if I told the truth that everything would be okay. And you have to roll back on that and say, well, it is. It's better because what I would have done to you is even worse and you don't even think about it.
Right.
But it's difficult because we all find ourselves in that position. And the first story we have about, man's communication with God was it was a miscommunication, misspeak, or whatever. Well, I love the way people try not to say lie to God. And Eve didn't want to be by herself in the deal, so she said, Adam, do this. And then when God comes over, he blames it on somebody else. I love how nothing has changed in the sense that we can say, it's all there.
Yes.
Men will blame the women.
One of the other things we spent some time talking about last night, another part of lying that is so devastating, is slander.
Oh, yeah, right.
Telling something that hurts someone.
Right.
And the story I told, which people didn't laugh like I thought they should,
I wasn't in there. That was
anyway. So I told the story about the guy that came to supposedly set Middle Ages. He's very upset with himself because he's told a lie. He slandered someone. So he went to his spiritual advisor, a monk, and he told him. He confessed it. He said, I've slandered someone and I don't know what to do about it. And so I just came to confess it to you. And he said, what should I do? And so the monk said, I want you to go and find a chicken and pluck the chicken, the feathers out of the chicken, and go all over the village and put a feather down on each doorstep. And then come back to me. And so he did that. And by the way, I'm sorry about the chicken in this story, but anyway. So anyway, he comes back to him and he says, I've done what you told me to. Now what do I do? And he says, now I want you to go back and collect all of those feathers. And he said, that's impossible. The wind by now has blown those feathers everywhere.
Right.
And the monk said, that is what slander does.
Perfect.
When you tell something that is not true about someone else that hurts them, it blows like those feathers, and the slander spreads and goes everywhere, and there's no way to do damage control, really. And I think that any of us who've, if you think about it, if somebody has told something that's not true about you, I would say that's one of the most painful experiences I've had as a human being.
Sure. Is
when somebody's told something that's not true about me. There are plenty of things you could tell about me that would,
they probably have more impact.
Yeah, right. But when someone just says something to hurt you that is not true, it is just devastating.
Well, what's to me is it's horrible, and I had to learn young age about when you say something about someone to deflect anything that your insecurity, so you talk badly about this other person, and the one that you're telling it to, that person's never met this girl. She's never met this girl. So I'm telling her these things about her, and she's this and she's that, and it makes me look really, and it makes me look like I've got some real dirt that I'm sharing. And then when that person meets her, that filter's going to be there for her, and she'll not believe what she says, or she thinks she's lying, or she thinks she's two-faced and all that. So it's horrible, because then that person never gets to know who this one really is, and I've got something against them. So I started learning, you've got to meet the person, judge for yourself, quit allowing this, this hatred that you already have for him, and you don't even know him, you haven't even met this person.
That's the power of that. Is that it colors our viewpoint of other people when we don't know them at all.
That's right.
And it's so easy to prejudge people anyway.
Sure.
That's what prejudice really is right. Prejudging.
Right. And you have, like, for instance, last night, Coulter Smiley comes in with a man bun on, and so that's a new style. It's a little style. That's a little thing that the kids are doing, and we're older people, have seen all those, and we know what it is. We understand what he's doing, and he's looking. And I told him, I said, the only way you're getting away with wearing that is you're so good looking, it doesn't even matter. But I'm telling you, if you were about it, no. But he was like, thank you very much, and I'm sure his parents love that because now he's more emboldened to wear it. But but those kind of things, you look at them and somebody may judge them for like, oh, he's one of those people. Of
course, right.
and that kind of thing. And to me, the scariest verse in the whole Bible is, I will judge you the way you judge others. That scares me more than anything because it really does put a barrier on how I should look at somebody and make any kind of judgment except they're a creation of the Creator, and you better be nice.
The problem with me judging other people is that I'm not equipped for it. I don't know all the facts. I don't know the person's heart, and so, I certainly have to make judgments all the time about right and wrong.
Sure,
but
and
to look at a person and to judge their motives, and that gets really, really
except
beyond
Steve,
my
Steve,
my ability.
The exception to that is politics. So when you've been caught in a lie, you've been caught in a lie, and it's okay. No, I always say, bless their hearts, but they're a liar. Okay, anyway, we're going to be right back with Steve Yates, minister of the Conroe Church of Christ, and they've been around for 90 years. Not Steve, but they have been around 90 years. Steve's been 30 years with them. We're going to talk about that, so we'll be right back on the Cindy Cochran Show.
The Cindy Cochran Show, the first daily talk show serving Montgomery County.
The Conroe YMCA's benchmark adaptive programming for kids and adults is Leap of Faith. Leap of Faith is an equine-assisted therapy program serving children and adults with adaptive needs. The riders in our Leap of Faith program are working to address and manage specific aspects of their lives impacted by illness, injury, or disability. The Leap of Faith program has experience working with riders who are living with attention deficit or other hyperactivity disorders, hearing impairments, visual impairments, developmental delays or disabilities, autism, Down syndrome, multiple sclerosis, muscular dystrophy, head traumas, brain injuries, and paralysis. Our program uses horseback riding to develop self-confidence and self-esteem, to increase upper and lower body strength, assist in respiratory issues, and establish a trusting relationship between the rider and their horse. Not only do these activities aid in the physical and mental development of the rider, but they also foster self-reliance and independence. For more information regarding our program, to become a rider, or to volunteer with a great group of people, please call our Welcome Center at 936-441-9622 or visit our website at www.ymcahouston.org/Conroe.
Howdy, folks. Cable Smith, host of the Lone Star Outdoors Show, inviting you to join me Saturday mornings from 7 to 8 on Lone Star Internet Radio for Texas' premier hunting, fishing, and outdoor talk show. So pour yourself another cup of coffee and pull up that stool a little closer to the old campfire, because if you can catch it or kill it in Texas, we're going to talk about it. That's right. Bucks and ducks, gobblers, monster bass, redfish, trout, and a whole lot more. Plus, you never know what outdoor celebrity is going to drop by, from Phil the Duck Commander Robertson to fishing legend Bill Dance or everybody's favorite uncle Ted Nugent. Heck, we might even mix in an interview and hear some brand spanking new Texas music from one of your favorite Texas musicians like Robert Earl Keen, Brandon Ryder, or the honky-tonk kid himself, Aaron Watson. Loved or hated but never ignored, it's the Lone Star Outdoors Show with me, Cable Smith, Saturday mornings from 7 to 8 right here on Lone Star Internet Radio on irlonestar.com.
The East Texas Dream Center is in need of your help. We are a nonprofit Christian organization that houses women and children who are trying to get their lives back after being homeless, abused, or addicted. We are conveniently located at 301 South 1st Street, Conroe, Texas, 77301, right here in Montgomery County. Our needs are financial and every needs of gasoline, cleaning supplies, laundry soap, Lysol, and whatever else God puts in your heart. To help our ladies and children, please consider a donation. You may visit our website at www.easttexasdreamcenter.org. Again, so you don't forget, it's www.easttexasdreamcenter.org. Donations are tax deductible. Remember what Jesus said, with God, nothing is impossible.
And we're back on the Cindy Cochran Show. And it is the Cindy Cochran Show, and I'm not lying. Okay, that may be the only time during the night. No, I try not to lie, and you always try and figure out, like, say, what about fabricating? What about embellishing and all? If it's not exactly the truth, is that, And so you wonder.
Isn't that the entire premise of the show?
I was hoping you wouldn't point that out while the preacher's here.
I'm kind of wishing we had tried a different subject.
Well, don't worry, I'm fact checking everything.
Oh, okay.
So I'm her overseer.
Yeah, isn't that amazing that after every debate, the next day,
yes,
that's what everybody is doing. You've got all these research people fact checking, the politicians.
So you can imagine.
Which honestly, many of us, when we think about politicians, we say if their lips are moving,
they're lying. So imagine how much work they have to do to fact check.
Some people
everything.
say the same thing about preachers too. So.
Well, I just have to watch out for Richard, because every time he says that, it sounds like he's saying fat checking, and so I have to make sure he is doing what he said he's doing. He's supposed to be doing.
Well, that's what I do in this, looking out the window. I'm just fat checking everybody. We are at downtown Conroe.
And it's a beautiful day.
Beautiful day downtown Conroe. And the studio we're very transparent here, because we have these two huge plate glass windows that you can look in, like the old days, the way they used to do old school radio stations. They'd have them out and people would walk by and check them out. And so that's what we have here. And people come up, and they, they breathe on the windows, and then they write messages and stuff.
Yeah,
we have to back them off. Stop it. No, but
they were boycotting yesterday.
They were. I even had, because we had a political discussion about the GOP debate, and so we had somebody carry a sign across says Republicans suck. So I don't know. It's difficult because you talk about these things, and I'm just trying to tell the truth, and we have people that absolutely disagree with me, but it's okay.
I can't imagine.
I can't. No, I've always told people, warn them, this is the most opinionated talk show, north of Montgomery. Anyway, so I think that we can say things. This is my opinion, it's my perception, and so that's my truth. And a lot of times that's wrong for us to do. I know, you're right. But if it's your perception, then it's your reality, and I'm going to talk about it. I don't think that, the only people that get on television and all that and speak things, saying that you have to believe them because they're on television, and you have to believe them because they went to journalism school, which is really learned to... I don't know. They have a class for 101 justification, 101 for lying, how to get by with stuff. But it's just interesting that people feel like, I can't take your word for it, Cindy. I don't want you to take my word for it. I want you to look at the facts yourself and see how you feel about it. But I love listening to C-SPAN. I love to read about, and I do read something other than Drudge Report, and to find out what's going on, and then this is how I feel about it. And if you don't feel that way about it, then tell me, and it's okay. And people hate to talk about politics.
It is difficult for people to just have conversations about things when they don't agree. It's very interesting.
But if they could learn to agree, just agree, like we don't agree, okay, fine. But let me. Tell me why you believe this, because I can't understand. I can't get my head wrapped around the justification or why you feel that way. So it's interesting to me, because I grew up talking religion, and and I would get all the kids in my neighborhood and sit them on the porch, and I would stand in front of them, and I would rock on my feet, and I'd be like a preacher.
I honestly can. And
try and nail them to the cross with scripture, and it was terrible. It was terrible the way I did it, and I can see why people would be discouraged by that. But I love talking about the Bible, and I love talking about politics. The two things that people say don't talk about.
Don't talk about
yeah,
it,
forget
right.
about it. But what's interesting is that there's so many studies being done about churches now, and about the waning of the numbers, and that people aren't interested anymore, and the millennialist. Boy, it's hard to say. Those in people are not going to church, and they're not believing. They don't care. It's not their thing, and all that. And so there's gloom and doom about the thriving, the flourishing of churches. Except for, I mean, there's exceptions everywhere, but the Conroe Church of Christ has been around for 90 years. 90 years. That's like amazing.
And I do want to emphasize that I've only been around for 30.
I kept trying to write that one. Now it looks like he's been there too. No.
Yeah.
You've been there 30 years, but
which
90
is a long
years.
time. But,
it is. Still, it's a long time because the preachers move from place to place. They feel like, oh, okay, I've done all my sermons here.
I promise you, it says a whole lot more about the church than it does about me.
No.
They've been very... I was just a child when I came, and they kind of helped raise me.
Yes,
so
I understand that.
And on the subject of doom and gloom for churches, I think it's interesting. I think it's always good to think about how the church has done historically when things are according to everyone who's supposedly experts,
yes,
is suggesting that the atmosphere is bad. Mm-hmm. That I think the church has generally done quite well when the church is under pressure.
Sure, yeah.
It's a little bit like all of us. If life is going along too easy and too smooth, we coast.
Yes, we do.
And we become apathetic. And if you don't ever have anybody questioning you and asking you, why do you believe what you believe? Why do you live the way you live? You tend to just kind of, you get a little lazy.
And that's probably scary that I can remember people, younger, I was so passionate, and when I would go, before they even ask me, I would tell them why I live the way I live and all that stuff. But then people quit asking, like, well, what do you believe in? Quit asking, because I wasn't saying anything. At a time where I feel like I was looking at it, I really am too busy about a lot of other things to really talk about how I feel about God and my worldview of the way Christians are, and so that's not good. If you're not being questioned, like, I want to know how you live because you're so happy, I want to be like you, and instead of you're so miserable, tell me, where do you go to church?
Well, one of the things that I would say, if you look, for example, and I've been thinking about this because I'm working on a preaching series that I'm going to do beginning in January, and my title at this point for the series is called Thriving.
Yes,
and it's based out of 1 Peter, which is Peter is the one who writes the letter to Christians in the early church who were under very difficult persecution.
A lot of pressure.
A lot of pressure.
Yeah.
So much more than we would even imagine.
Right.
I mean, the minor little stresses that we face and opposition that we face in Christian faith today are not even close.
Here, but of course, in the Middle East.
What's interesting about it...
Well, I was just going to say, in the Middle East, that's
still
persecution is still going on.
There are places in the world where that's going on.
But we have it so good here.
And it's been very interesting for me to go back and look at that, because the first 3 centuries of the church's existence, the church was under incredible persecution and pressure, and yet they thrived. They turned the world upside down.
Right.
And so I don't think that we should wring our hands. And one of the things that really, it just bugs me, is to get around people of faith and hear them whine.
Oh, brother.
About how, we have it so bad, and people don't respect us and all that. And I'm like, you need to get some perspective on this. Sure. And you need to accept that Jesus, for example, said, in this world, you're going to have some trouble.
Sure.
And there are going to be people who don't understand you. They want to know answers. They may not accept your answers.
Right.
They may not understand your faith and your way of life. And they're going to oppose you, and that's going to be a part of your life. And it's going to demand sacrifice. When you live in a period of time, and I think we did, I think in American culture, Christianity lived in a time when we became very passive. So now we're in a period where we get to test our mettle.
That's right.
Do you really believe
because
what you
we're under
believe?
attack.
Do
yeah.
you? And I think the church will do well.
Sure.
I think many churches are. I think that's one of the secrets of our church, is that we're not in. I think most of our people are not intimidated by the fact that somebody would ask us questions.
No, and you will talk about anything. You will talk about absolutely anything.
Yes.
I walked in on the middle of the sermon and I, no, wait a minute, what? Is this a new reality cable? What is he talking about? But it's great to hear you stand up there and speak about things that people are probably harboring in their heart and saying, like, I don't know. And then all of a sudden, there you are, and people will go, did he hear what I was saying? Did he hear that I was upset about this? It's great. I think it's wonderful.
And for me, one of the great things about the opportunities that we have is that in the midst of difficulty, people get the opportunity to really they really get the opportunity to look carefully at their own relationship with God. Is it real? Is it growing? Is it thriving?
But you're calling us out, and you do your own self. I mean, you're very self. You whip yourself. What's that called? Self.
Well,
okay.
I try to be self-effacing.
That's it. That's what the word. There's the word.
Because the reality is, I've got plenty of weaknesses. I've got a whole lot more weaknesses than strength, and so one of the things that I think the church will do well, and I think the secret of a 90-year church. I'm happy to be a part of a church that has it started. Our congregation started in the basement of the courthouse.
Right.
Not this courthouse, but a previous courthouse on that same site. In the basement, in a little room, rented room, and it was 8 women who prayed together about a church. And those women eventually got a man or two to come, and or a few. There were actually, I think, in 1925, when we kind of make it as our official start date, there were 13 people, and
in the basement
eight or nine of them were women.
See, that's so awesome.
Which is honestly the way it's been in church life. If you removed the women, it's like removing the Holy Spirit. I mean, it's like
I love that.
It's like taking the power source away.
Oh yeah.
And so that's kind of our start, and it's really interesting. We look back, when we were doing preparation for all this big day when we were going to celebrate our history. The displays that we had in the Family Life Center all the way back from 1925. The original note where they went and bought the first piece of property that they bought. They bought it at a sheriff's sale, a foreclosure sale. They bought a lot over on Collins Street, and they actually bought 3 lots, and they paid $150.
Good grief! $150.
Now, $150 in 1926. And they didn't build a building until 1929. Anybody remember what happened in 1929?
Was there a big fire?
There was a stock market crash.
Oh, the crash! Wasn't there a big fire in downtown Conroe?
There may have been a big fire in Conroe. I don't know. But in 1929 is when they launched their first building program, which is excellent strategic planning. Let's do it when we have the largest depression. But look what God did.
That's right. God didn't have to depend on the people.
And we've had a couple of more building programs in the midst of the press cycle that have done fine.
Well, that's what's so exciting is I was sitting up in the balcony because there was no room the main floor, which I love the balcony. I love looking down on people. No, that's
No,
not what I
no.
meant.
I know why
like-
you sit in the balcony, because you
Why?
think you're closer to God.
That's
up
it.
there.
That's it. Or sitting on the first row trying to be closer to you, Stephen. I don't know which is best. But anyway, it's great. And we're going to get into that as soon as we come back from these breaks. We're going to talk more about 90 years of flourishing of the Conroe Church of Christ here in Conroe. All right, guys, you're listening to the Cindy Cochran Show. We will be right back. My special guest is Steve Yates.
The Cindy Cochran Show. Real reality radio.
Lone Star Internet Radio is now bringing you the weekly business hour show each Monday morning at 11 a.m. My name is Rick Schissler, and I will be your host. Each week, we will be bringing you local, area, and national business news that you can use. The program will also feature an interview with a local or national business person who will share their own experiences, successes, and failures in operating their businesses. Our show is for anyone who already owns a business, whether they work solo or have employees, and for those who are thinking about starting their own businesses. A bit of information about myself. Again, my name is Rick Schissler, and I am a Silver Fox advisor who has over 40 years' experience as a serial entrepreneur. As a part of our show, I will offer some advice and encouragement on our monthly topic, and I will take your questions by email at rschissler@silverfox.org or call into the station at 936-647-3776. See you on the radio Monday at 11 a.m. for the weekly business hour.
Hello, Montgomery County. I'm Rachel Baldwin with Special Olympics Texas, Area 6. Are you a fan of courage? Are you a fan of determination? Are you a fan of acceptance, grace, and skill? Then you're already a fan of Special Olympics. Make it official. Volunteer, coach, and or compete and be a fan of dignity and acceptance. The dedication of our Special Olympics Texas volunteers provides mainstreaming experiences for athletes with intellectual disabilities. You will touch the heart of another person, and it will move you in a meaningful way that lifts the spirit. Please visit the Heart of East Texas Area 6 webpage at www.sotx.org. Also, like us on Facebook to be a fan and be part of Special Olympics Texas.
Doing business since 1985, Assistance League of Montgomery County is a nonprofit, all-volunteer organization where all proceeds stay in Montgomery County. We are proud to sponsor 10 philanthropic programs that enhance the lives of those in our community. Visit our thrift shop at 126 North San Jacinto Street in downtown Conroe or call us at 936-760-1151. Don't forget to like us on Facebook.
You're back on the Cindy Cochran Show, and we have Steve Yates, the minister of the Conroe Church of Christ, with us today because they've been celebrating their 90th year in existence. The church has been here longer than that, but I'm telling you, the location of the Conroe Church of Christ has been around for 90 years here in Conroe, Texas. And I'm sure there's probably older congregations and stuff, but this is so exciting because you have moved through. And they've done newspaper articles on this and all, and moved around this area. Now you're out on Longmire in the area. People are familiar with the area with beautiful, gorgeous, building. It's not. I'm not saying it's just like so elaborate, and they could have spent money on feeding children with that and all that stuff. I'm just saying it's really nice, and it's just you build it, and then all of a sudden now you're having to build more onto it, which is what I'm saying. That's exciting.
We celebrated. We had you'll recall, Cindy, we had one day where we were debt free.
Yes,
we paid off all the debt from the relocation and buying the new campus site and designing the buildings and building the buildings, which was like a 7-year project.
Good grief!
And then so we moved out to the new campus 2008, I believe, late in 2008, and then. In 2014, we just last year we paid off all of the debt.
See,
and we had one Sunday where we said, "Yippee! This is great. We're debt free." And then the next Sunday we launched the second phase, which is called Overflow.
Right.
And the principle of that is that God has overflowed us with blessings. Our church has grown. So we have a new children's center that is moving right along.
Right.
It's doing quite well, and we've got expanded parking, which is a big deal. Parking is always a problem.
All the researchers come in and tell you, if you are making people look for a parking place, you're going to lose them. You better get those parking spots.
So we got the parking thing. I think we really got that solved.
That's beautiful.
And then the student center, which is for all of our junior high and high school. Their new center will be at any moment we will launch that, and they'll be kicking that off, and that will be built out the other side of the building.
Yeah,
so there's expansions on both sides, and then we have a lot of other renovations and sort of changing that we're doing on the inside to sort of change room usage because we're moving.
Yeah, because they're meeting in closets and storage areas right now, and it's very intimate. I think this is the singles group is meeting. But it's because of the growth, and that's what I'm saying is that whatever you guys are doing, it's right, and God's approving of it apparently. Because I look and see to me, if you've got a strong youth organization, then you're good to go because the parents want to go someplace where the kids are saying, "Mommy, hurry up, come on." And that's what my grandchildren do to me, like on Wednesday night, say, "Hurry up, can we get there an hour earlier? We have more time to be with everybody." I was like, okay. They love it so much.
How is Connor doing?
Connor is going to be here tomorrow. That's just what I was getting ready.
Did you find him a girlfriend yet?
No, but you know what we're going to do? You know what I told Connor?
Hey, there are a lot of people working on that project.
I believe it.
I
believe it.
Connor hosts.
And the problem
so bad.
The problem is, I just want to, I would say it this way, is that he is not interested. I mean, it's just way too much work to have a relationship. When every day is a new day of more basketball to play,
True, that's right.
more
Sounds
movies
like
to watch.
He needs to meet those people in the closet. Is that what's going on?
They haven't. No, I want to say they come out of the closet, but no.
We
want
singles
Connor.
Group. He hangs out with the singles.
No, he does.
He does. They have a group that meets every week, and one week they'll have like a Bible study together, and then the next week they'll go and
they got a lot of things that they're doing. That's what I mean. You guys are real active, but Connor watches over the junior high that area. Annette Funicello, Annette Krausen watches over the young early childhood development, and they're great. They're the most diametrically opposed type personalities and stuff, but it works for the area that they're over. Right. But Connor's been on here several times. He says, I can talk about other things than the youth. I can talk about going to movies, and I can talk about and football. I love football. So I told him, I said, come on tomorrow. Steve's going to be on today, so you come on tomorrow, and we'll talk about how to win a date with Connor. And I'm going to use your new picture that you got on your Facebook, and I think we might get some callers in. So
it's possible.
Yeah, we're going to try and help his dad, even at this funeral. This is so bad. His dad was speaking at Naomi's funeral at over in Grace Crossing, and he got up and said something. He was talking about his time there, and how they found him a wife immediately, and he's hoping that the church will look after Connor and find him a wife in the funeral.
We've had several good candidates.
I'm sure you have,
but he's just too busy. He's got other things on the agenda.
See, what I'm thinking is, the poor guy, he goes to the shows, and he likes to go to the show, and he see how much that costs. And if I've got to double that cost, I'll never be able to make it because it's so expensive. I don't know how people date now, and the poor guy who, traditionally would pay for it. I hope everybody's splitting the ticket now, because that's hard. So we got.
Oh, I know the way it works with me now.
She pays for it
at 62.
Yeah, well, how's that happen?
Everybody calls me Daddy.
That's right.
I take these people out to lunch and they say, Dad's paying.
Yeah,
I say, what?
That's true. That's why, I was afraid Sam might quit going to church because all of our children started coming, there with us.
There you go.
And we have like the whole row there, and he looks down there and he's not seeing, oh, look, he's seeing $7.50 for her, $10.50 for if we go eat somewhere.
That's right.
He says, I can't afford this eating. You're going to have to start cooking dinner or something because I can't pay for all this.
Right.
So I haven't started cooking dinner yet, but he's still going. And but we figured it out. I told all the kids, you're going to have to start paying something on the bill and then keep your dad in church and in heaven.
Well, I've thought about, doing something religious at lunch. Like pass the plate, Let's take up a collection for the ticket, okay?
Boy, I'm telling you, and they just I think it's called price gouging. I think these restaurants know that we're all going to, church after church, everybody's coming, and Mama doesn't want to cook, and let's make Mama happy, and so we're going to pay for this.
It's Sundays are a big day for a lot of restaurants.
Oh yes,
especially in Montgomery County.
Oh yeah, there's no problem about everybody going out to eat there. But okay, we're going to get back to the history of this church and the elders. The Church of Christ has and your church may as well have elders and deacons and all and that structure of leadership. And we have an elder that's been an elder 42 years. And they had an article on him in the paper recently.
Yes, Kix Lamp. He served the church as an elder, which is just unbelievable to think about that many years, and particularly that many elders meetings.
That just drives me crazy.
Can't even number how many. And he's such an incredible man. He's 91 years old now, still just a wonderful shepherd in our church. He has kind of stepped into a new role. We call him Elder Emeritus.
That's what I heard.
Moved him to a kind of special status, and he doesn't have to come to meetings anymore,
That would be the perk.
But he is still one of God's great shepherds and a wonderful guy.
And he
and I have worked together this entire 30 years that I've been here, and he's been one of my great encouragers.
That is wonderful. We got a phone call, so hang on to your hat because they're not vetted. We don't know who this is. Okay. Phone caller, what is your name, and would you like to ask Steve a question?
Yes, I'd like to ask the pastor if there's any truth to the rumors that due to tough economic times, tithing is being raised from 10 to 15%. I'll hang up to hear your answer. Thank you.
Thank you. It's Chris Rossetti from San Francisco calling you. Yeah.
Well, I think that would be a positive move if we could get that. But I don't. It's a very interesting thing about church giving. Mm-hmm. Most of the analysis that's been done about the level of giving is that in general people don't give 10%.
Right.
They don't tithe very much. Mm-hmm. In fact, more of the stats on it seem to represent that it's more in the range of something like 2 to 5% or something like that.
Wow.
And I think that's sad because I think for those of us who have trusted God on this principle of tithing, what happens is you see the incredible blessing that comes from that to your life. It's not some sense of payback that somehow or the other you're going to get wealthy because you give 10%, but just to really trust God.
A preacher said that in a sermon one time. Said, if you give, what you give, God is going to double that. He'll double that back in your life. You don't understand that He'll do that. And I'm sitting there with 2 quarters, and I'm going like, I was going to keep one of these. So okay, if he'll double it, that'll be like $1. And I figured out that's $1.
One of my favorite stories out of Scripture about giving is the widow who has basically nothing.
Right.
And Jesus sees her, and she comes in and she gives these 2 small coins, which is all that she had. And all these people were coming in, and some of them had quite large gifts, maybe they were wealthy or whatever. And he was, he's watching people give, which today we think, oh, that's inappropriate. Don't
see what I'm giving.
But he's watching them, and he tells his disciples, do you know who the best giver was today? Do you know the one that really understood what giving is about? And it's the woman who gave 2 tiny little coins. Now, and I'm thinking, my question is, my hand pops up and says, well, what happens tomorrow?
Right.
What is she going to do?
And what does he say about tomorrow?
What she's going to do is she's going to trust God.
That's right.
And I think that's what giving is really, it's always more for us.
Sure.
So that we learn to trust God. And
he doesn't need it. He doesn't need it.
And
he needs your heart.
So we trust God, and what we find, and I've got some experience with this principle in my own life, that what we find is God is faithful, and it's not a matter of him making my portfolio and my retirement accounts go up. It's about making me see that God will take care of my needs. He will provide for my needs.
And in ways that you never, ever expect. They just come out of left field like, what? I wasn't thinking I even had anything there to count on, and there it was. So people
it's again and again, I think what happens when people trust God on any level, whether it's with giving or any other part of your life.
Sure. Letting him take care of it.
It just builds the relationship with God, that God is a faithful God who loves us and wants the very best for us.
Let me tell you something about the caller. I know he hates this. I do this, but he's a stand-up comedian, Christian comedian, and at church, and he does this at church, and he has the Come to Jesus meetings, and he has the humor side of God, God's humor, and he talks about that and teaches about how things that God has said. Listen to this in context, and he gets it. God gets it. If you think God's too old to understand what's going on, he gets it, and it's great. He has a great ministry in that, and in San Francisco, and it's just, he says, so everybody can do something.
Oh,
and
no
with
kidding.
humor is a great idea because people don't think God has a sense of humor.
In fact, I think people have missed Jesus' use of humor.
Oh, brother,
often.
Yeah.
When Jesus said that it's harder for a rich man to go through the eye, it's like a camel going through the eye of a needle for a rich man to get into heaven.
Yeah.
I'm like, you can take a camel through the eye of a needle, but it's going to ruin his whole day, especially if he's got 2 humps.
That's right.
I mean, it's going to hurt.
Yeah.
And I'm like, if you heard that, it's kind of the preposterous nature of it that would make it memorable. You wouldn't forget that illustration very quickly.
No, because you imagine them all looking to each other and went like, come on, what? That's hard. So it'd be harder for a rich person.
And then Jesus follows that, and he says, it's impossible, so it's going to take God.
That's right.
But what is impossible with man is possible with God.
And that's the hope, that's the faith, that's that we thrive on by listening to things like that.
Yeah.
I'm talked about, and I've had you guys on, and I have Connor on, because I know y'all. I know things that are interesting that y'all have to say, and so people think you're just promoting the Conroe Church of Christ. What's wrong with? And that's not it. It's just the principles that these guys believe in, and all that I really want to share with people. But if you haven't found a church home, find one. Find that you walk in, because that's how I felt about when I walked into Conroe Church of Christ. I felt like I was home. And that's how you have to be, just like when you go to buy a house. When you walk into that house, you're like, I could live here. I know I could live here.
I think one of the great things about Conroe and the area is that there are a lot of great churches in Montgomery County.
Sure,
and
there
we are very blessed.
Very blessed.
There's no reason for people not to find a good place to get plugged in and use their gifts to honor God.
or to ever feel lonely.
Yeah.
I hate when I hear people say, I'm retired, I don't have anything to do, and nobody comes and talks to me, nobody calls me. It's all waiting for somebody to do something to you instead of you getting out and going and visiting these churches. And there's so much you can do. You'll be so busy you'll go like, I got to get home and take a nap, because there's so many things that you can do, and to find a place like that. So we're not saying this is the only place in town, although that's how the Church of Christ started. Their PR, I don't know who their PR guy was, but it was bad because people would say the Church of Christ thinks they're the only, game in town. And the joke about when St. Peter is supposed to be taking someone on a tour, and then he tells everybody, be quiet. He said, why? Because the Church of Christ is in there, and they think they're the only one here. That started a bad PR for us, but we're not like that at all anymore. All.
One of the things that I tell people about church life, if you want to see the power of what being involved in the life of church, often one of the ways you see it is go to the hospital.
Right.
Because I go all the time to visit people, and I will go up to a waiting room, and I'll get to a waiting room, and somebody is waiting on a loved one who's having surgery or something. And I go in, and these are people from our church, and there's like 25 people there.
Oh, man.
And they're sitting with them and praying with them and helping them. And then I go sometimes to people that are not plugged into a church, and they're sitting there by themselves.
Right.
And that's what I tell people. You got community, you have family, you have people that are looking out for you and care about you.
They will come
really
feed your family if you're in trouble. Anything happens to you and you have to go to the hospital, they'll bring food. It's just amazing. So I really feel like find some place that you can go and believe in what they're saying is the truth, and then nobody's lying to you. But you feel that family feeling, and you're right, that community, and that these people are helping the community. That's a good sign too. Is if you can do a little research and go like, you guys are outreaching to the community, feeding the poor and the hungry, and trying to help this community. I like that because that's I think WWJD would do it. So I think that's the way to go. We're coming up to the end of the show. Steve, thank you. It's just flown by.
Oh, my goodness.
We talked
it is amazing how time flies when you're having fun.
That's exactly right.
And the rest of my day is going to be so much better because I was with you, Cindy. That's it.
That's it. Anytime
and the guy over here that's doing the fact checking.
And giving me signs to shut up, wind up, forget about it, stop talking. Anyway, it's hard to do, but I will be back tomorrow with Connor Halstead, and we're going to talk about 007 Spectre. He got to go see the movie, I think, last night, and so he was so excited about seeing it.
He's doing his research.
Yes, that's exactly right. So he'll be back here with us tomorrow, and we'll be talking about all the utes that he takes care of as well. Listen, guys, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Steve Yates and Richard Schissler, and of all, we thank God. Thank you so much. God has got this, and God loves you more than we do. And you know what? If you make somebody happy, you're going to be happier. Have fun today. It's so gorgeous outside. Bye-bye.